I'd always thought my life with Emily was something solid, something unshakable. We'd been married for 12 years, built a home in a quiet suburb outside Portland, and filled it with the kind of routines that make you feel safe. She was a graphic designer, freelancing from our attic office, while I worked as a structural engineer, spending long hours sketching blueprints for bridges and high-rises. We weren't perfect, nobody is, but we had a rhythm. Mornings with coffee and her teasing me about my terrible pancake flips. Evenings on the couch with takeout and some show we'd argue over. It was ours. Then came the shift. Started small, subtle enough that I didn't catch it at first. She'd linger upstairs longer, her laughter drifting down through the floorboards, sharp and unfamiliar. She'd always been private about her work, but now her phone was a constant companion. Screen tilted away, fingers tapping fast, a faint smile curling her lips when she thought I wasn't looking. I'd ask who she was talking to, and she'd say, "Just a client," or "Someone from the design forum." I believed her. Why wouldn't I? Emily wasn't the type to hide things. At least that's what I told myself. One night, I came home late from a site inspection, the kind of day that leaves you bone-tired and smelling of concrete dust. The house was dark except for a sliver of light under the attic door. I climbed the stairs, expecting to find her hunched over her laptop, lost in some project. Instead, she was on the phone, her voice low and syrupy, words I couldn't quite catch. She didn't hear me at first, didn't see me standing there in the doorway. Her back was to me, hair spilling over her shoulders, and she was giggling in a way I hadn't heard in years. "Tomorrow, then," she whispered, and hung up. When she turned and saw me, her face froze, then melted into a smile. "Oh, you're home. Just wrapping up with a client." I nodded, said something about being tired, and went downstairs. But that giggle stuck with me, lodged in my chest like a splinter. The next morning, she was up early, humming as she packed a bag. "Meeting a client downtown," she said, kissing my cheek before she left. I watched her car pull out of the driveway, that same splinter twisting deeper. Something wasn't right. I didn't know what, not yet, but I could feel it. A crack forming in the foundation of everything I thought I knew. I finished my coffee, grabbed my keys, and decided to follow her. The city was gray and damp, typical March weather, as I trailed her sedan through traffic. She didn't go downtown. She drove past the business district, past the coffee shops and galleries, and pulled into a parking lot near an old warehouse converted into lofts. I parked a block away, watched her step out, her coat pulled tight against the wind. She didn't look like she was meeting a client. She looked nervous, excited. A man stepped out of the building, tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a leather jacket, and she ran to him. Not walked, ran. They embraced, her arms around his neck, his hands on her waist, and I sat there, gripping the steering wheel, my pulse hammering in my ears. Who was he? His name was Marcus. I found out later, piecing it together like some amateur detective who didn't want the job. For now, though, he was just a stranger with his hands on my wife, pulling her into that warehouse like they owned the place. I didn't move from the car. Couldn't. My mind was a storm. Anger, confusion, disbelief swirling together until I couldn't tell one from the other. Emily disappeared inside with him, and I sat there for an hour, staring at the door, waiting for her to come out. She didn't. I drove home eventually, the road blurring past me. The house felt different when I stepped inside. Too quiet, too empty. Her coffee mug was still in the sink, lipstick smudged on the rim. I picked it up, ran my thumb over the stain, and something snapped. I needed answers. Her laptop was upstairs, still open on her desk. She'd always been careless about passwords, and I knew hers. Our anniversary 0912. I hesitated, fingers hovering over the keys. This wasn't me. I didn't snoop. But then I thought of her running to that man, and I typed it in. Her email was a mess of client threads and spam, nothing unusual at first. Then I saw it. A folder labeled Inspiration. Innocent enough, except it was buried 3 subfolders deep, like she'd hidden it. I clicked, and there they were, messages. Dozens of them, stretching back months. all from M. No last name, just an initial. The first one I opened was short. Missed you today. Same time tomorrow. Her reply, can't wait. Your trouble. My stomach twisted. I kept scrolling, each message worse than the last. Your hands are my favorite distraction. Last night was everything. He doesn't suspect a thing. That last one hit like a punch. Me. I opened another tab, logged into her cloud storage. Photos. Not designs, not sketches, pictures of her and him. Marcus, smiling in a park, her head on his shoulder. Another at some dive bar, his arm around her waist. One in a bed I didn't recognize, her hair tangled, his chest bare. My hands shook as I clicked through them, each image carving out a piece of me. This wasn't a fling. This was a life. A secret life she'd built behind my back. How long? How many lies? I heard the front door open downstairs. Honey, I'm home, she called, her voice bright, like nothing had changed. I closed the laptop, stood there in the attic, listening to her footsteps on the stairs. She poked her head in, smiling. Long day. How was yours? I stared at her. This woman I'd loved for over a decade, and saw a stranger. Fine, I said, my voice flat. She didn't notice. She chattered about her client meeting, some nonsense about fonts and deadlines, and I nodded, letting her talk. Inside, I was burning. She didn't know I knew. Not yet. The next few days were a performance. I went to work, sketched beams and supports, nodded at meetings, all while my mind churned. Emily acted normal, too normal, like she'd rehearsed it. She'd kiss me goodnight, curl up beside me, and I'd lie there, staring at the ceiling, imagining her with him. Marcus. I'd found his full name in her messages. Marcus Reed. A quick search online turned up his profile. Freelance photographer, mid-30s, based in Portland. His portfolio was full of moody landscapes and portraits, some of Emily. She'd posed for him, her eyes soft, lips parted, like she was someone else entirely. I started digging deeper. His address was public, tied to that warehouse loft. I drove by again, parked across the street, watched the windows. Lights flickered on, shadows moved. Once, I saw her silhouette, unmistakable the way she tilted her head. She was there more often than she was home, I realized. Late projects, she'd say, or networking drinks. Lies stacked on lies. I wondered how I'd been so blind, so trusting. Maybe I didn't want to see it. Maybe I'd loved her too much to question. At home, I kept up the act. Made dinner, asked about her day, smiled when she rambled about nothing. But I was watching now. Every glance at her phone, every excuse to step out of the room. She didn't suspect a thing. That was her mistake. I wasn't the same man anymore. The old me would have confronted her, demanded answers, maybe even begged her to stop. This new me? I wanted more than answers. I wanted her to feel what I felt. Betrayal, yes, but something sharper, something that cut deeper. I started planning. Not revenge, not yet, just preparation. I copied her emails, her photos, saved them to a drive she'd never find. I tracked her movements, noted when she left, when she came back. She thought she was clever, but she wasn't. She'd gotten sloppy, comfortable in her double life. One night, she left her phone on the counter while she showered. I scrolled through her texts with Marcus. Plans to meet the next day, some gallery opening downtown. Wear that red dress, he'd written. You know what it does to me. I put the phone back, my hand steady. I'd be there too. The gallery was crowded when I arrived. A mix of artsy types sipping wine and nodding at abstract paintings. I stayed in the back, baseball cap pulled low, blending in. Emily walked in, that red dress clinging to her like a second skin. Marcus was beside her, his hand brushing her lower back. They moved through the room, laughing, whispering, oblivious. I watched them, my chest tight, my mind racing. This wasn't just an affair. This was her choosing him over me, over us. I slipped out before they saw me, the cold night air hitting my face. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I drove home, and I started thinking, really thinking. Knowledge is a weapon, and I was arming myself. I spent the next week dissecting their lives, hers and Marcus's. His social media was a goldmine. Posts about gallery shows, late-night shoots, vague captions that I now knew hit her. Best muse a guy could ask for. One read, timestamped months ago. She'd liked it. I cross-referenced dates, matched them to her work trips or girls' nights. The pattern was clear. She'd been slipping away for nearly a year. A year of smiles to my face, lies in my bed. I got practical. Hired a guy, discreet, expensive, to tail them. He sent me updates, timestamps, locations, photos. Marcus's loft, a diner on the east side, a park where they'd sit too close on a bench. One shot showed her laughing, head thrown back, his fingers tangled in her hair. I stared at it for hours, memorizing the way her mouth curved. I didn't know that laugh anymore. The investigator asked if I wanted audio, a mic planted somewhere. I said no. I didn't need to hear her voice saying things she'd never say to me. At home, I played the doting husband, cooked her favorite pasta, asked about her projects, even suggested a weekend away. Just us. She hesitated, then agreed, but I saw the flicker in her eyes, the calculation. She was already plotting her next excuse to see him. That night, she fell asleep beside me, her breathing soft, and I lay awake, staring at her. She looked peaceful, innocent. I hated her for it. Hated myself for still feeling something when I looked at her. Love doesn't vanish, it rots. I needed more than proof. I needed leverage. Marcus wasn't perfect, nobody is. I dug into his past, found cracks. A dismissed assault charge from 5 years back, a bar fight gone wrong. Tax records showing he'd underreported income, sloppy, but usable. A client he'd stiffed, threatening legal action online. Little things, but they added up. Emily's weak spot was her reputation. Her pristine freelance career, her good girl image. She'd built it carefully, and I could dismantle it just as slow. Friday came, and she left, for a deadline. I followed again, this time to a motel off the highway. Cheap, neon-lit, the kind of place you don't bring a wife. I parked across the street, watched them check in. She glanced around, nervous, but didn't see me. An hour later, I walked to the office, slipped the clerk 100, asked for their room number. Don't care what they're doing, I said. Just need to know. Room 12. I stood outside, heard muffled voices, laughter. I didn't knock. I walked away, my plan taking shape. She'd feel this soon. The motel stayed in my head, a grainy snapshot I couldn't shake. Room 12. Her coat on the chair, his boots by the door. I'd seen enough through the window before I left. Back home, I poured a whiskey, sat in the dark, and let the pieces settle. This wasn't about catching her anymore. It was about making her pay. Not with tears or shouting, but with something colder, something she'd never see coming. Marcus too. They'd built their little world, and I'd tear it down brick by brick. I started with her clients. She'd bragged about landing a big contract with a local boutique chain, designing their rebrand. I knew the owner, Claire, from a charity event years back. We'd hit it off over small talk about architecture and wine. I called her, kept it casual. Hey, Claire, quick question. Emily's been off lately, distracted. You notice anything with her work? She paused, then admitted the latest drafts were late, sloppy. I was going to let it slide, she said. She's usually so good. I planted the seed. Might be personal stuff. I'd hate for it to tank her reputation. Claire promised to keep an eye out. Step 1. Next, Marcus. His photography gigs relied on trust. Clients booking him for weddings, portraits, events. I created a fake account, posed as a jilted bride. Posted reviews on every site I could find. Marcus Reed canceled last minute. Left us scrambling. Unreliable. I emailed his recent clients. Addresses pulled from his invoice leaks, hinting at unprofessional conduct. Nothing provable, just whispers. His bookings would dry up soon. I smiled, imagining his confusion, his panic. Emily came home that night, tired but glowing. Good day, I asked, stirring soup on the stove. Great day, she said, kissing my cheek. I nodded, served her dinner, watched her eat. She didn't know I'd been to the motel. Didn't know I'd seen the clerk smirk when I asked about room 12. She thought she was safe. That was fine. Let her think it. I had time. By Sunday, the cracks were showing. She got a call from Claire, her voice tight as she paced the kitchen. "No, I can fix it, I promise. Just give me a day." She hung up, rubbed her temples. "Work stress," she muttered. I offered a sympathetic nod, poured her wine. Inside, I was electric. This was just the start. She'd built her life on lies, and I'd make sure they buried her. Marcus, too. I wasn't done yet. Not even close. The house felt like a stage now, every moment a scene I directed. Emily didn't know she was the lead in a play she'd never rehearsed. Monday morning, she was frantic. Phone pressed to her ear, arguing with Claire about deadlines. "I don't understand why this is suddenly an issue," she snapped, pacing the kitchen. I sipped my coffee, watched her unravel. Claire had emailed her late Sunday, a curt note about concerns and professionalism. I'd nudged that along, of course. Another call to Claire, a vague mention of Emily's distractions. Claire didn't need much convincing. She'd already sensed the slip in quality. I left for work, but I didn't go far. Drove 2 blocks, parked, and opened my laptop. The thumb drive I'd filled with Emily's secrets, emails, photos, texts, glowed in the dim light. I sifted through it, looking for the next move. Marcus's name popped up in a thread about a gallery show next week, one he was curating. Emily had promised to help, her messages gushing about his vision. I smirked. Vision. I'd give them something to see. I emailed the gallery owner anonymously, attached a photo. Emily and Marcus tangled together in that motel bed, faces blurred but recognizable to anyone who knew them. "Thought you should know who's behind your event," I wrote. No reply came, but I didn't need one. Doubt was enough. Back home, Emily was quieter, distracted. She barely touched the stir-fry I made, her fork pushing rice around the plate. "Rough day?" I asked, voice steady. She nodded, mumbled something about picky clients. I let it drop, poured her more wine. Later, she disappeared upstairs, and I heard her typing furiously. Probably damage control. Good. Let her scramble. That night, she reached for me in bed, her hand brushing my arm. I turned away, feigned sleep. Her touch felt like a lie now, and I wasn't in the mood to play along. Tuesday, I checked Marcus's world. His online reviews were tanking. My fake posts had sparked a ripple. Real clients chimed in, annoyed about missed shoots or late edits. His inbox, hacked weeks ago with a phishing link he'd stupidly clicked, showed panicked emails to his agent. "What's happening?" "I'm losing gigs." I leaned back in my chair, satisfied. He'd built his career on charm and hustle, but charm doesn't survive a tarnished name. Emily would feel it too, her precious Marcus crumbling, dragging her down with him. She came home late that night, eyes red, claiming a last-minute meeting. I didn't push, just watched her pour a glass of whiskey, my whiskey, and sip it in silence. She didn't know I'd already seen the text from Marcus. "Gallery's freaking out. Someone sent them something. We need to talk." She'd replied, "Tomorrow. I'll fix this." Fix it? She had no idea what was coming. I went to bed, left her staring at the wall. The splinter in my chest was gone now, replaced by something harder, colder. I liked it. Wednesday was a turning point. Emily left early, muttering about a crisis. I knew where she was headed, Marcus's loft. My guy, the investigator, confirmed it with a photo. Her car parked outside, 8:14 a.m. I didn't follow this time. Didn't need to. The gallery email had done its work. By noon, Marcus's show was postponed indefinitely, per their website. I pictured his face, that smug grin wiped clean, and it fueled me. Emily's phone buzzed nonstop when she got home, her voice sharp as she took calls in the attic. "No, I can handle it. Yes, I know him personally. I'll sort it out." She didn't suspect me. Not yet. I upped the ante. Her freelance network was tight-knit, a web of designers and small businesses. I'd met a few at her parties, chatty types who loved gossip. I called one, Sarah, under the guise of planning a surprise for Emily. She's been so stressed, I said. Heard anything weird going on with her? Sarah hesitated, then spilled. Well, there's talk. Some photographer she's close to, Marcus? People say he's shady, and she's tied up in it. I feigned shock, thanked her, hung up. The rumor mill was churning now, and Emily's name was in it. That night she was a wreck. Dropped her keys twice, burned the toast she tried to make. Everything okay? I asked, leaning against the counter. She forced a smile. Just work stuff. It'll blow over. I nodded, let her think it would. Meanwhile, I'd mailed a package, anonymous, untraceable, to her biggest client, a law firm she designed logos for. Inside, printouts of her emails with Marcus, flirty and unprofessional, plus a note. Is this who you trust with your brand? I'd used a burner address, a drop box downtown. No fingerprints, no trail. Thursday, the firm called her. I heard it from the living room, her voice rising, pleading. That's not true, I swear. It's a misunderstanding. She hung up, pale, and sank onto the couch. They're dropping me, she whispered. I sat beside her, put an arm around her shoulders. That's awful. What happened? She shook her head, wouldn't meet my eyes. I squeezed her arm, gentle, like the husband she thought I was. Inside, I was counting victories. One client down, more to go. Marcus texted her later. I saw it when she left her phone on the table. I'm screwed. Gallery's done, clients bailing. What did you tell them? Her reply, nothing. I don't know who's doing this. I deleted the thread before she noticed, slipped the phone back. They were turning on each other now, paranoia creeping in. Perfect. I poured myself a drink, toasted the empty room. The foundation was cracking, and I was the one swinging the hammer. Friday, the walls closed in tighter. Emily spent the morning on the phone, voice cracking as she lost another client. A boutique she'd worked with for years. I don't understand, she kept saying, tears welling up. I stood in the kitchen, chopping onions for dinner, listening. She didn't come to me for comfort this time. Just sat there, staring at her laptop, refreshing her inbox like it might save her. It wouldn't. I'd sent more packages, more whispers, all anonymous. Her reputation was fraying, thread by thread. Marcus was worse off. My investigator sent photos. Him arguing with a landlord outside the loft, hands waving, face red. Rent was late, his gigs drying up meant no cash flow. I'd tipped off a few of his creditors too. Fake complaints about unpaid invoices. Nothing big, just enough to pile on. He'd called Emily twice that day. She ignored him. I saw the missed calls when she stepped into the shower, her phone buzzing on the counter. I didn't touch it, didn't need to. They were unraveling on their own. That night, she broke. Came downstairs in her robe, hair wet, and poured herself a double shot of bourbon. I think someone's out to get me, she said, voice small. I raised an eyebrow, kept my tone light. What do you mean? She hesitated, then spilled. Clients dropping, rumors swirling, even a friend asking if she was mixed up with some creep. She didn't mention Marcus by name, but I saw the guilt in her eyes. Maybe it's a competitor, I offered. She nodded, desperate to believe it. I almost laughed. Saturday, I pushed harder. Found an old photo of them, her in that red dress, him smirking, at a bar downtown. I edited it slightly, sharpened the focus, and posted it to a local design forum from a throwaway account. Caption: anyone know these two? Heard they're bad news for business. The thread blew up, speculation, guesses, a few recognizing her style. By afternoon, she was getting texts from colleagues. What's going on? She locked herself in the attic, sobbing. I knocked, played concerned. Need to talk. She didn't answer. Fine. Let her stew. Marcus showed up that night. Banged on our door at 10, drunk, yelling her name. I opened it, calm, while she froze on the stairs. What's this about? I asked, blocking him. He slurred something about her ruining him, then saw her and lunged. I shoved him back. Hard, he stumbled into the yard, cursing. Neighbors peeked out. I waved them off. Emily was shaking, begging him to leave. He did, eventually, tires screeching. She looked at me, terrified. "I don't know why he's here," she lied. I just nodded. The trap was tightening. Sunday was chaos dressed as calm. Emily barely slept, dark circles under her eyes, hands trembling as she made coffee. Marcus's scene had rattled her, cracked the mask she'd worn so well. She kept glancing at me, waiting for questions I didn't ask. I played oblivious, flipped through a magazine, let her squirm. Her phone stayed silent. No clients called, no friends checked in. The forum post had spread. Her name was mud now, tied to Marcus's collapse. She didn't know how deep it ran. But I did. I'd made sure of it. Mid-morning, she tried to rally. "I'm meeting a colleague," she said, grabbing her keys. I knew it was Marcus. Her nervous fidgeting gave it away. "Be safe," I said, smiling. She nodded, left. My investigator tailed her to a diner across town. Sent me a shot. Her and Marcus at a booth, heads close, arguing. His face was haggard, hers desperate. I studied it, felt nothing. No jealousy, no pain, just a cold satisfaction. They were clinging to a sinking ship, and I drilled the holes. Back home, I finalized the next step. Her bank account, joint, but she never checked the statements. I'd moved small amounts over weeks, untraceable transfers to a new account she'd never find. Not enough to drain it, just enough to leave her scrambling later. I'd also canceled her business insurance. Lapsed payments, easy to fake with her email. One call to her biggest supplier, a print shop, sealed it. "She's closing up shop," I'd said, mimicking a stressed assistant. They'd cut her off by Monday. Every lifeline snipped. She returned at dusk, pale, silent. Dropped her bag, sank onto the couch. "Bad meeting?" I asked, casual. She nodded, didn't elaborate. I cooked dinner, steak, her favorite, and watched her pick at it. "You're too good to me," she murmured, almost to herself. Guilt? Maybe. Didn't matter. That night, she cried in her sleep, soft whimpers I ignored. I stayed awake, planning. Marcus was next. He'd crossed a line showing up here, and I'd make him regret it. Monday morning, she checked her email and gasped. The print shop had sent a termination notice, effective immediately. "This can't be happening," she whispered, scrolling. I leaned over, feigned concern. "What's wrong?" She showed me, tears spilling. "Everything's falling apart." I hugged her, let her sob into my chest. "We'll figure it out," I lied. She didn't see the smile I hid in her hair. The stage was set, and the curtain was about to fall. Marcus was a loose end, frayed and flapping in the wind. I'd broken his career, his confidence, but he was still here, still tied to her. That wouldn't do. Tuesday, I dug deeper. His old assault charge, buried but not gone. A bar fight, a broken nose, a restraining order that lapsed. I called the victim, a guy named Tom, from a burner phone. "Marcus reads back at it," I said, vague but urgent. "Harassing my wife, showing up drunk." Tom cursed, promised to file a complaint. Cops wouldn't arrest Marcus. Not yet, but they'd knock, ask questions, rattle him. Emily was a ghost that day. Stayed upstairs, door locked, typing and deleting emails that wouldn't save her. Claire called again. Final notice, contract terminated. I heard her beg through the floorboards, voice breaking. "Please, I need this." No dice. By noon, her supplier mess hit. No prints, no projects, no income. She came down, hair a mess, and stared at me. "I don't know what to do," she said. I shrugged, gentle. "Take a break. You're burned out." She nodded, dazed, and I knew she was cracking. That afternoon, Marcus texted her. I'd cloned her phone weeks ago, saw it in real time. "Cops were here. What the hell's going on?" She didn't reply. Good. Let him stew. I sent my own text, anonymous, to his number. "She's done with you. Back off or it gets worse." He'd think it was her or some jealous friend. Didn't matter. Doubt was poison, and I was dosing him steady. An hour later, my guy sent a photo. Marcus leaving his loft, bag slung over his shoulder, heading somewhere fast. Running? Perfect. Night fell and Emily tried to talk. Sat me down, hands wringing. "I've messed up," she started, eyes wet. "Work's a disaster and I haven't been honest." I waited, blank-faced. She didn't confess Marcus, not yet, just rambled about stress, bad choices. "I'll fix it," she promised. I nodded, said I believed her. I didn't. She went to bed early, left me in the dark. I opened my laptop, checked the accounts. Her savings were down to fumes, thanks to my quiet siphoning. She'd notice soon. Wednesday morning, Marcus was gone. Loft empty, landlord pissed. My investigator confirmed it. He'd skipped town, probably spooked by the cops and my text. Emily didn't know yet, but she'd feel it when he didn't call. I watched her check her phone, frown, check again. "Everything okay?" I asked, buttering toast. She forced a smile. "Yeah, just waiting on something." I handed her a plate, hid my grin. She was alone now, and I was just getting started. Marcus's absence hit Emily like a slow bleed. Wednesday afternoon, she paced the attic, phone in hand, muttering to herself. I heard her through the vent, dialing, hanging up, dialing again. He wasn't answering, and she didn't know why. I did. He was halfway across the state by now, spooked into fleeing, his life in shambles. I'd made sure of that. Cops at his door, creditors hounding him, that last text twisting the knife. She'd feel his ghost soon enough, but I wasn't done with her. Not yet. Downstairs, I cooked lunch, grilled cheese, simple, something she'd always loved. She came down, hollow-eyed, and sat across from me. "Thanks," she murmured, picking at the crust. I watched her, silent, letting the weight settle. Her phone buzzed. Another ex-client, I guessed, and she ignored it. "You should eat," I said, gentle. She nodded, took a bite, but her hands shook. "I think I need a break," she said finally. "From work. From everything." I smiled, supportive. "Good idea." Inside, I was counting the seconds until she noticed the bank. That night, I checked the accounts. Her savings, our savings, were nearly gone, siphoned bit by bit into my hidden stash. I'd forged a few withdrawals in her name, small enough to slip past her distracted gaze. The joint account had just enough to cover bills, nothing more. She'd check soon. She had to. And when she did, she'd panic. I wanted that moment, wanted her to feel the ground vanish beneath her. I poured a whiskey, sat in the dark, and waited. Thursday morning, it happened. She logged in from her laptop. I'd installed a tracker, saw every keystroke. "What the hell?" she whispered, loud enough to drift downstairs. She stormed into the kitchen, face pale. "The money's gone," she said, voice trembling. I frowned, played dumb. "What money?" She showed me the screen. $12 left in savings, transactions she didn't recognize. "Someone's hacked us," she said. I leaned in, concerned. "Call the bank. Now." She did, fumbling through the call, while I stood there, arms crossed, hiding the truth. They'd find nothing. My tracks were clean. She hung up, defeated. "They're investigating, but it could take weeks." I hugged her, let her cling to me. "We'll figure it out," I lied, stroking her hair. She didn't know I drained her. Didn't know I'd left her with nothing but a shell of a life. Marcus gone, clients lost, money vanished. She was a husk now, and I'd carved her out. That night, she cried herself to sleep, and I lay beside her, calm, plotting the final act. Friday, she tried to rebuild. Sat at her desk, emailing old contacts, begging for work. I watched from the doorway, silent, as rejection after rejection rolled in. "Not taking on new projects," one said. "Heard you're unreliable," another hinted. The forum post had spread, her name poison now. She slammed her laptop shut, buried her face in her hands. "I don't get it," she sobbed. "It's like someone's targeting me." I stepped in, rubbed her shoulders. "Maybe it's just bad luck," I said. She leaned into me, desperate for comfort, and I gave it cold, hollow comfort. Marcus's silence gnawed at her. She checked his socials, nothing new, just old posts mocking him now. "Where are you?" she typed in a draft, never sent. I saw it through the clone, deleted it before she could. Let her wonder. Let her ache. I'd mailed his landlord a tip, anonymous, about suspicious activity in the loft. Cops had searched it, found nothing, but the lease was void now. He wasn't coming back. She'd never know why, and that was my gift to her. Uncertainty, sharp and relentless. That afternoon I struck again. Her car, paid off, her pride, needed an oil change. I'd booked it weeks ago, but canceled it, then loosened a hose under the hood. She drove to the store, came back fuming. It broke down, she said, near tears. I called a tow, played the fixer. Mechanics report, engine shot, thousands to repair. How? She asked, bewildered. I shrugged. Wear and tear. Another lie. Another loss. She sat on the porch, staring at nothing, while I cooked dinner, humming. Saturday she cracked wider. Found an old photo of us. Our honeymoon, smiling on a beach, and stared at it for hours. I've ruined everything, she whispered. Not to me, just to the air. I didn't respond. Let her drown in it. Her phone rang, bank again. No leads on the hack. She hung up, curled into a ball on the couch. I sat beside her, distant, watching her shrink. The woman who'd run to Marcus, who'd built a secret life, was gone. I'd stripped her bare, and I wasn't done. Sunday I planted the seed. Left a note on her desk, forged in Marcus's handwriting, pulled from an old email signature. You did this to me. I'm gone because of you. She'd find it soon, and it'd break her. I wanted her to think he blamed her, that he'd fled because of her. She'd carry that weight, and I'd watch it crush her. I packed a bag, told her I had a work trip. Be back Tuesday, I said. She nodded, numb. I left, but I didn't go far. Monday she found the note. I wasn't there. Checked into a motel nearby, watching through the cameras I'd hidden weeks ago. She picked it up, read it, and sank to her knees. No, 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 she whispered, clutching it. She called his number. Disconnected now, thanks to my tip to his carrier about fraud. She threw the phone, sobbed into her hands. The cameras caught it all. Her unraveling, her guilt, her despair. I leaned back in the motel chair, sipped a beer, and smiled. This was better than I'd hoped. Her world was ash now. No work, no money, no car, no Marcus. She tried to call a friend, Sarah, the gossip, but Sarah brushed her off, voice cold. I've heard things, Em. I can't get involved. Emily hung up, alone. I'd spread the rumors wide, her messy life, her shady ties. No one would touch her now. She sat in the attic, staring at nothing. The note crumpled beside her. I'd taken everything, and she didn't even know it was me. Tuesday I returned. Walked in, found her on the couch, eyes vacant. Hey, I said soft. She barely looked up. Trip okay? She mumbled. Fine, I said, setting my bag down. You? She shook her head, didn't answer. I made tea, sat beside her, played the husband one last time. What's wrong? I asked, knowing full well. She swallowed, voice raw. I've lost everything. I don't know how it happened. I nodded, sipped my tea. Sometimes things just fall apart, I said. She didn't catch the edge in my voice. That night, I showed her a photo. Printed from her cloud, her and Marcus in that red dress. Laughing. Found this in the attic. I lied, casual. Her face drained of color. Where'd you get that? She stammered. I shrugged. Must have been in your stuff. She stared at it, then at me, searching for suspicion. I gave her none. Just a blank look, a faint smile. Old friend? I asked. She nodded, too fast. Yeah, old friend. She took the photo, hands shaking, and I knew she'd burn it later. Let her think she'd dodged me. Wednesday, I tightened the noose. Left her a voicemail from a burner. Disguised. You ruined him, Emily. You'll pay for it. She'd hear it when she woke, think it was Marcus's ally, some vengeful ghost. I wanted her paranoid, jumping at shadows. I'd taken her life apart. Career, love, security, and now I'd take her peace. She'd never sleep easy again, and I'd be there watching, the husband she'd never suspect. Thursday, she heard the voicemail. I was at work, but the cameras showed her collapse. Phone slipping from her hand, body curling into itself. She replayed it over and over, that distorted voice, mine, masked, echoing in the empty house. You ruined him. You'll pay. She called the cops, voice shaking, but what could she say? No proof, no name, just fear. They took a report, left her with nothing but a case number. She sat there after, staring at the wall, and I knew I'd broken her mind too. I came home that night, found her in the dark, lights off. Rough day, I asked, flipping a switch. She flinched, nodded. Someone's threatening me, she whispered. I sat beside her, concerned. Who? She shook her head. I don't know. It's about an old friend. She wouldn't say, Marcus wouldn't confess. I didn't push, just held her, let her tremble against me. We'll get through this, I said, and she clung to it, blind to the irony. Friday, I finished the job. Her insurance, lapsed thanks to me, meant no coverage for the car, no buffer for the house. I'd stopped paying the mortgage, rerouted the funds. A letter arrived, foreclosure notice, 30 days to vacate. She opened it, screamed, a raw, guttural sound. How? She yelled, shoving it at me. I scanned it, feigned shock. I thought you were handling this. She froze, confused. I thought. She trailed off, doubt creeping in. I'd forged her signature on enough to blur the lines. She called the bank, pleaded, but the damage was done. We're losing the house, she said, voice dead. I nodded, solemn. We'll figure something out. She didn't respond, just sat there, broken. I'd taken her past, her present, and now her future. That night, she packed a bag, said she needed space. I let her go, watched her drive off in a friend's borrowed car. She'd be back. She had nowhere else. I poured a drink, toasted the empty room. Almost there. Saturday, I staged the end. Left photos around the house, her and Marcus, intimate, undeniable, where she'd find them. Added a note, my handwriting this time. I know everything. You chose him. Now you've lost it all. She'd see it, think I'd snapped, that I'd been the one all along. I wanted her to know, not the how, just the why. I checked into a hotel, waited. The cameras pinged, she'd returned, found it all. Her scream echoed through the feed. Pure anguish. I turned it off, leaned back. Done. Sunday, she called me. Voice small, broken. Come home, she said. We need to talk. I drove back, slow, savoring it. The house was a mess. Photos scattered. Note crumpled on the floor. She sat at the kitchen table, eyes red, staring at me as I walked in. You knew, she whispered. I didn't deny it. Just sat across from her, silent. How long? She asked. Long enough, I said, voice flat. She flinched, tears spilling. I didn't mean for it to happen. A lie, and we both knew it. She tried to explain. Marcus was a mistake, a distraction. She'd never stopped loving me. I listened, let her ramble, let her think words could fix it. I've lost everything, she said finally. I know, I replied, and the weight of it hit her. She saw it then, the calm in my eyes, the edge in my voice. You did this, she breathed, realization dawning. I didn't nod, didn't smile, just held her gaze. You chose him, I said. I chose me, she begged, promised to change, to leave the past, to rebuild us. I stood, walked to the counter, poured a glass of water. Too late, I said, handing it to her. She took it, hands shaking, and I saw the woman I'd loved once, now a stranger I'd destroyed. The house was gone, her career dust, her lover vanished, her savings air. I'd left her with nothing, not even hope. Where will I go? She asked, voice cracking. I shrugged. Not my problem. Monday, I filed for divorce. Papers served at the motel she'd fled to, last address I had. She didn't fight it, didn't call. I sold the house at a loss, split the scraps, kept my stash hidden. Moved to a new city, new job, new life. She faded. Rumors said she'd crashed with a cousin. Taken some low-end gig, barely scraping by. I didn't check, didn't care. Months later, I saw her name online. A small design credit, a flicker of recovery. I smiled cold. She'd claw back, maybe, but never whole. I'd taken too much. Her trust, her pride, her peace, and left scars she'd carry forever. I poured a whiskey, raised it to the night. Revenge wasn't loud, wasn't messy. It was quiet, cruel, and mine. Done.